Okay, I think I'm streaming. I don't know. Usually it says start streaming, I think, and then go live, but it's not giving me the live option. So I don't know what's going on here. I want to make sure I'm on. Oh, shoot. I didn't delete those. Delete. Yay, I'm on. Okay. Yay, I'm on. Okay. And I can hear myself. Yay. Okay. Hi. Hey, everyone. I don't know why I don't more trust my abilities here with StreamYard or with OBS, but I still don't. I don't know. Hey, Reagan. Hey, Megan. Hi, Lily. Hey, Dad. Hi, Guy. Hi, I want to be entitled also. Where do I go so that I can soy boy myself right now? What? I'm cheap and easy, thanks. I don't know what any of that means. Hey, Autistic Shill. Hi, Steffi. Let's see. Hey, Suzanne, what's up? I haven't seen you in a little while. Hey, Estella. Wait a minute. Did I pass? Okay. LOL, nonsense blocked me because I asked her proof on her claims of me. She's like, not today. My name, get out, etc. It's any day. You're like, yeah, come on. For someone who claims she's sharing facts, she sure can't handle getting called out. Yeah, for someone who claims that she's all about facts, she sure can't handle being asked for them. It's funny. I gotta say, though, since my stream yesterday, I've heard from a lot of people, and the majority consensus seems to be, yeah, we don't like her. But it obviously take that with a grain of salt because, I'm not going to sit here and show what people have said or whatever because it was all private conversation. So I get that, my saying that should be taken that way, but I know it's true, so that's all that matters to me. Hey, Kentucky Girl. Hey, Kara. Hey, Animal Lover. Hey, Leslie. Hey, Aliar. Hey, Heather. Just make sure no one's okay. And as usual, I have to thank my good friend, Patterns of Problematic People, for keeping me in the loop of things. So, because I had to work last night, and I actually got some sleep last night, and then I had to go out and run some errands today. So she sent me a few things to make me aware, and I'm like, oh, really? And I thought, wow, this is some of the craziest shit I ever read. Like, holy shit. Like, this, out of all the things I have seen Katie post or claim or state, this is right up there with some of the most craziest shit. I gotta be honest. Hey, Tina P. Hey, Dash X. And, of course, I sit down and my nose starts running. Oh, my God. I can't win. I can't fucking win with this shit. Where the hell's the tissues? I'm going to try not to sniff. I might have to wipe my nose or something here and there. Hey, welcome to Lord Troll. Hey, thanks for becoming a member. Yay. Welcome to the weird ones. Apparently we're weird. Oh, please don't ever apologize for your membership, whatever, for not having one for whatever reason. No, please. I am just incredibly grateful and thankful that anyone even considers being a member for so much as a month. Please don't ever feel the need to apologize for that. Thank you. I should probably express my gratitude much more often than I do. Is Aaron on Unirock time today or something? I might have been, yeah. No, normally I'm usually a couple minutes late, I'll be honest. But, like, I sat down, I just got done, like, doing my hair and stuff, and I put a shirt on, or a decent shirt on, and I sit down on the computer, and it's, like, 2:01, and I had it set for 2:05, and, like, I got nothing pulled up yet, and I'm like, oh, shit, I'm a good 10 minutes behind, so I'm sorry. I apologize for that. I'm trying not to do like the 2:15 starting times, in the middle, because I feel like if it's on the hour, then people are more likely to make note of it and to, be here. where I feel like having it at like quarter after, people are already into something else, maybe, possibly. I don't know. It's my own thinking. I got nothing to base this on. So I was thinking, well, 2:05 is pretty good because, it's almost right on the hour. But, of course, I was late, so fuck me. Oh, Tina, don't worry about him. Dude, I'm just so happy that you're here watching. Really. That's I mean, by all means, if you want to, awesome, but don't feel, obligated, please. I suck at promoting myself, I'll be honest. I may be weird, but at least I don't wear pants. That's just too damn weird. I do have pants on, but they're like pajama pants and they're half pants, but I feel like Ron Burgundy, you can't see the bottom half of me, so I don't have to wear anything. But I do. I wear stuff. Except for when I'm on Clearstream. Then I don't. 10 minutes late isn't your right time. You're actually about a half an hour early. Yeah. I've watched his streams and stuff, but I never watched him like from the beginning. Like I was never sitting there waiting for him to start. So I have no idea, but I can see that, yeah. I'd rather be weird in here with y'all than normal and have to hang with icky people. Yay! Well, I'd much rather have you here and weird too than have to hang out with icky people. Yeah, my nose is still running a little. Okay, well, let's get started. All right, so let me show you what I mean about how this is some of the most fucked up shit I think I've ever seen. And maybe there may be like a small part of bias coming from my part because I too was raised Catholic, only I have a much different memory or I don't know, recollection than Katie does of my Catholic upbringing. I don't know if there's a difference either between like nationality maybe, because like we were your classic Irish Catholic family, like on both sides, both my mother and my father's side. Where I don't think she's so much Irish. I don't know what she is, really. I don't know what kind of Catholic nationality it could be classified as, if any. I don't know, but whatever. You see, Suzanne, I'm gonna slightly disagree with you. Suzanne says, raised Catholic, and I don't remember any of what she's saying. See, I do, but you're gonna see, it's not what she's claiming. Like, it's... Watch. Okay, let me get to it. Rather than assuring you what I'm going to say, let me say what I'm going to say. So. Oh, shoot. I got that too low. Why is it? I didn't lock that. Did I lock that? I guess I did lock that. Okay. All right. Okay, that's all locked. Now let's start. Okay, so... What order do these go in? Okay, so I gotta start here. Okay, good. They are in order. Okay, so here we have her post on Instagram. And I'm guessing this is from yesterday. I didn't look at the date or whatever. I'm not positive. Actually, I'll pull it up here real quick. I just want to make sure that I have the right date. So in case anyone wants to go and look for it. Although knowing her, she probably took the shit down. Okay, let's see. Oh, no, it's still up. Okay, and it was from 4 hours ago, so it's from today. So here she writes, growing up in a legalistic religion built on rules, hierarchy, obedience, and fear of disobedience often teaches people to ignore danger. Like, I'm not sure what, okay. To ignore danger and ignore themselves. For me, growing up Catholic was very much a fear-based experience. Not all Catholics are the same, but my experience is also not uncommon from other ex-Catholics that left the church. Now, she talks about this as though this is her like religious trauma, okay? Like she's some victim of trauma here, and she should be treated affirmatively, I guess, maybe. I'm not sure. But then she says this is not uncommon for other ex-Catholics that have left the church. Okay, I would venture and say it's not uncommon for just Catholics, period, whether still with the church or not. And I'm going to get to what I mean here in a second. In fact, I'm going to go out on a limb and say I think it's not at all uncommon for anyone who grew up, period. But let me go on. I remember being so scared to disobey God that I felt paralyzed and so much guilt when I made mistakes. Now, to me, that just sounds like being a kid. Like, how many times have we been terrified or scared even to go against the rules that were given to us by our parents or the school or whatever? Like, this isn't just a religious thing, and it sure as hell isn't just a Catholicism thing. This is just growing up. We all go through this. We all go through this period, in the beginning of our lives where we obey, where we follow the rules. But then we start to question things, and then we start to test our limits and their limits, the rules limits, whatever. That's adolescence, dude. That's not trauma. That's fucking growing up. Anyway. And how many of us, when we do fuck up and it's something stupid, it's not even like something where we're just asserting our independence, it's just something stupid, where we feel so much guilt. Maybe we lied to our parents about something, whatever, but we feel guilty. And it weighs on us. I mean, like Edgar Allan Poe wrote this whole freaking short story or whatever on guilt. And for granted, it was guilt of murder. But still, it's the power of guilt, though, that he really gets across, I think. The Telltale Heart, I think, was the name of that, in case anyone wants to look at it. I remember being okay. A common story from my childhood memory was hearing my grandma say, "God is punishing you," when anything unpleasant would happen to me. You see, I'm sure that her grandmother said that. I'm sure the Lott's grandmother said that. I'm sure mine even said that. But I can't help but to think, why did she have to rely on hearing that from an external source? Like, how many of us internally think, oh my God, it serves me right, whenever something happens. And we're stupid. We have no reason to really be saying it, but that's just what we're just accustomed to do for whatever reason. And that's not even a religious thing. That's just a growing up thing, I think. Stub a toe, trip, fall, get a bad grade, I'm guessing. Get bullied, or injured were all punishments from God for doing something to upset him. How does get bullied in there? See, this is a weird list to me. I didn't even notice this before. But like stub a toe, trip, get a bad grade. Okay, these are things that we can blame on something external. Like the couch was there in a new place, whatever. But get bullied, like, I don't know. That's a victim thing. Like, you can blame the couch or whatever for being in the way of your toe, but ultimately, it's not something that came after you. It wasn't targeted at you, But get bullied, that is a targeted. So that just seems like a weird thing to add to this list. I'm just saying, whatever. For doing something to upset him. Okay. I truly felt like any misstep could cause me harm. Okay. Not for nothing. Any misstep could cause you consequence, I think is more the word. But I mean, how can I put this? It sounds like she's only fearing disobeying because she might stub her toe, rather than she might feel guilty about what she had possibly done or said. And that seems kind of telling. I remember during my confirmation listening to the bishop admonish the youth. What? Did you just say what I think you said? Fucking idiot. Ute. He said Ute from my cousin Vinny. So, okay, let me start over. I remember during my confirmation listening to the bishop admonish the Ute for behaving badly. Disobedience of their parents, premarital sex, smoking, drinking, and hanging out with the wrong people were just a few of his gripes. I sat in the pew with tears streaming down my face because I already felt like a failure. Dude, that speech could not have been reserved just for you having heard it from the bishop. Like, teachers, I'm thinking, probably told you much of the same thing. Any authoritative figure, any adult would warn you against these things. And not because there was disobedience of your parents, but because a lot of these are just poor fucking decisions. Like, okay, disobedience of parents, premarital sex. Well, if you're not prepared and you're not ready and you're not knowledge, that can absolutely be detrimental to your future. smoking, drinking, hanging out with the wrong people. Well, these are things that anyone that even now as an adult you'll be warned not to do. Like the fucking Surgeon General warns you not to smoke and drink probably. Are they leaving you with tears streaming down your face and feeling like a failure? And why do you feel like a failure? Were you smoking, drinking, and having sex when you were getting confirmed? What did we get confirmed at, like 13? Okay. And I just want to say this tears streaming down, that I call bullshit to that. Because like every other person at that age getting confirmed, you were doing one of two things. You were either just staring off into the distance with this glossed over look on your face because you were daydreaming about something, God knows what, because whatever you were hearing was boring as fuck. Or you were giggling and laughing with your friends, just whispering shit to each other or whatever, right there in the pew. Like, that's what every church experience was like at that age with a whole class of people, right? Anyway, during confirmation classes, our church brought us to a retreat. We were forced to watch a video of a woman discussing premarital sex. Matter of factly, the women told us that having premarital sex would give us herpes, HIV, and pregnancy. There was no mention that condoms and safe sex could prevent the spread of STIs. There was no discussion of birth control preventing pregnancy. This because it wasn't a sex ed class. It wasn't. This was your Catholic CCD classes or whatever for confirmation. This isn't sex ed. Now, for granted, I disagree with the Catholic Church not teaching all of the things that she mentions. Sure. But it's the church. That's what they do. Right or wrong, that's just what they fucking do. They're not sex ed. So, I'll go on. The women hammered home that sex outside of marriage led to horrific outcomes. Again, that's the Catholic Church. It's fucked up, but yeah, it's the way it is for all of us in the Catholic Church. Like, if you are anywhere near around her age, my age, and you grew up in with a Catholic upbringing and attending Catholic education, you heard all of this. You just did. I spent years in fear of sexually transmitted diseases and unwanted pregnancies with little education on birth control or protection. No, but you knew how babies were made, right? By the time you were confirmed? So why would you be in fear of these things if you weren't doing the things that would cause these things to begin with, regardless of whether or not you were using birth control? That just seems weird. Like, oh my God, I'm terrified of ending up with STDs or being pregnant, but I'm not having sex. And I know that sex causes these things. Like that just sounds weird to me. I can see, like, I grew up in fear of having sex because of the fear of these things or because of the consequences that I've learned. Sure. But that's not what she says. In parts of my life, I was extremely rebellious. In others, I became the people-pleasing perfectionist that was afraid to make mistakes. Okay. If you are now an adult, you went through that. You went through this probably several times in your life by the time you're an adult. Like, we all go through periods where we're doing right. We're doing good. People are pleased with us and we're making the right choices. Then for whatever reason, we make another choice that's not right. And then when that happens and we feel like we have like the letter A or whatever, painted on us, we just kind of like double down on it and we just go full rebellious. And then we come out of it and we, at least that's been life for me. I'm pretty sure that that's really technically referred to as adolescence, to be honest. Again, I don't see anything to really give the allure or the image of traumatic upbringing here. I mean, unless you want to admit that everyone had pretty much had some trauma in their lives, which could be true, but then that doesn't make you special. And this is what she was trying to point out, is how she's special for this, because don't you dare question her because she's different. Deconstructing was painful and hard. Losing the faith was heartbreaking, but finding myself and trusting myself after leaving was the gift I'm grateful for every day. Again, adolescence, or maybe this is coming into adulthood, maybe beginning of the adulthood, those years. When you start deconstructing your upbringing and you start learning about others and about lives and families outside of what you've known, and then you start to become more confident with yourself, and you don't have to rely on this approval from some religious congregation or your parents even, that's coming of age shit, isn't it? I mean, it was for me. And in fact, it was part of my teens, it was part of my 20s, it was part of my late 20s, part of my 30s, and part of my 40s, I mean, anyway. And of course it's painful. It's always painful. Life is painful. That's not 24/7, but yes, sometimes life is painful for everyone. I don't fear making mistakes anymore. See, I can relate to that somewhat. Like, I don't fear making mistakes like I feared when I was younger, mostly because I don't care so much anymore, and you get a better perspective, I think, as you age. And, yeah, I'm old enough to have a really good perspective by now. But I mean, sure, but I still fear some mistakes. I don't fear upsetting God. I don't fear and panic over my thoughts. Again, I think that that's something that really just kind of comes with age for the most part. Like, there's a saying that I love, and it's always stuck with me. In my 20s, I cared way too much about what other people thought. In my 40s, I realized nobody really, no, wait, what is it? In my 40s, I no longer cared what other people thought. In my 20s, I cared too much about what other people thought. In my 40s, I no longer cared what other people thought. In my 60s, I realized nobody really thought of me at all. That's just, I can't think of anything more true about just getting older than that. And that, like she's explaining here, she's not fearing these things anymore because she's old enough and wise enough to know that she's put things in perspective, basically. I trust my gut, and I don't ignore danger or red flags anymore. I don't get that last part. Like, when were we, I don't remember, I remember ignoring danger and red flags, but not because of any kind of religious upbringing or even any upbringing my parents gave me. Just because I was unsure of myself. Strictly that. And I think everyone goes through that. And then you kind of convince yourself that the red flags you're seeing, it's just all in your head. It's just you. The issue's you. The issue isn't actually the red flags. But then you get older and you start to think, no, the issue's the fucking red flags. I'm not imagining this shit. That shit's there. And then you trust yourself and you have confidence in yourself and your decisions. And then you realize that even if you're wrong, so, I mean, that's just fucking growing up. Oh my God. Okay. So someone wrote, little tip for any ex-Catholic. Oh, that's about how you're supposed to notify the church when you're leaving or whatever. Now here we get into her comments. So that's what the person's talking about, how you have to notify the church to leave the church. And she says, I've never formally left the church, but thankfully they don't know where I live or my married name. Okay, yeah, because what? They're not bill collectors. They're as freaking corrupt and as money hungry as the Catholic Church may be, they're not like bill collectors. I'm just going to throw that out there. Okay. A question for Catholics who had fear installed in them as children. Who installed the fear? The church, parents, or other family members? Okay. She says, our priest, family, and church. And then she says, as you can see in my statements, the teachings were directly from the church and the diocese. I was confirmed at the cathedral, which is the center of the diocese that I grew up in. I don't know what that has to do with anything. Like, I was confirmed in my home parish, the parish in which I came from, and it was part of a diocese. But there was no like main church in our diocese. It was just the fucking diocese. Maybe the main church is where the bishops lived or something. I don't know, but there was no like regular church that was more, I don't know. There was no hierarchy of churches in the diocese. It's weird. Anyway, the teachings were directly from the church and the diocese. Really? Because she's explaining everything to me that parents in the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, and even much into the 80s taught their kids. And like the whole sex ed thing, for example. Like, there was a girl I went to school with where in 7th grade, apparently she went to third base with a dude. And then she was afraid that she might be pregnant because, third base. Obviously that's not the case, but, but she came from a very strict, upbringing. She didn't know, so we informed her. So I mean, like, that wasn't straight from a religion or a diocese or a church, because it wasn't. I met her in public school, first of all. There was no religious tones there. It was just her parents were very strict. So my experience was exactly the same as yours. My Catholicism was and is a loving faith that cares. Faith that cares for everyone. It wasn't until I went to university that I realized that not every interpretation of faith was an open and tolerant as the one in which I grew up. And I'm guessing, okay. See, I had much of a similar experience in my Catholic upbringing. And, like, though they were still Catholics, the parish, the nuns, the priest, whatever, would basically tell you that being gay, for example, is a sin. However, you love the sinner. You don't discriminate against the sinner. You welcome the sinner, because it's not your place to cast judgment on the sinner. That's between the sinner and God. You love them and you treat them the same as everyone else. And that was a lesson that was very much instilled in me all throughout my Catholic upbringing. And I went to Catholic school for almost my entire education. It amazes me that the more publicly Christian people are, the less tolerant and Christ-like they seem to become. Jim Bob and Michelle, I'm thinking about you. To which she says, okay, I'm glad you had that experience, but I'm not Jim Bob, and I wasn't raised in the IBLP. These teachings were from our diocese, or I assume you learned the same on premarital sex, homosexuality, and women as I did. See, that's another thing. Like, I was never taught that women were less than. Like, yeah, sure, there are definitely clear-cut assigned gender roles in Catholicism, but I was never taught that one was valued more than another. I mean, hell, they didn't give Joseph, Jesus to carry for 9 months. They gave that to a woman, remember? Yeah, sure, women have kids and men don't, but you would think if women weren't just as valued as men, they wouldn't have stuck that in her belly. I'm just saying, right? They entrusted her in these storylines with bringing to life our Lord the Savior or whatever, right? Women got to be valued. That's all I'm saying. Just maybe not treated exactly the same, but valued. The homosexuality thing I already talked on. And the same thing with premarital sex. Like, well, I'm going to get more into that in a minute. In a second, I'll stop and check chat. Let me just get through this. Pre-Pope John, whatever, I don't even know. Was it 28? No, 23. Transformative in part, Vatican Council, the priests, nuns, higher church officials taught me my purpose on earth was to know, love, and serve God, period. On pain of temporary or eternal damnation if I stayed. Spelled out in a ton of rules, heavy on guilt, parents deferred to the church. Parents deferred to the church because parents didn't have the tools to deal with whatever situation was in front of them any other way. That's why they turned to the church. Just like in the 80s, I think parents by and large turned to psychology because they were thinking that that's where the tools were. I don't know. I think it's maybe a mixture of all kinds of things, but that's why they turned to the church. Not because they themselves feared God, because they themselves didn't know what the fuck else to do most of the time. Absolutely same way that I was raised. My dad was not Catholic. In order to marry in the church, he had to sign a document with the church that he would not interfere in the upbringing of the children and that he would allow his wife to raise them Catholic. I believe that. As a result, my mom deferred to her parents always when it came to faith because, well, women can't lead faith in their families in the Catholic Church. Yeah, they can. They absolutely can. They do. In fact, I don't know. That's crazy. Like, the Catholic religion, they want members. They know that in order to sustain the standard of living in which they've become accustomed to, they need members. Members generate donations and generate income, whatever. They cannot then, realistically, and even in their own minds, for whatever reason, they cannot then just, like, ignore half the population of leading families in this faith, because that's going to hurt them and their bottom line. And say what you want about the Catholic Church, they they value their money. They do. I'm not casting judgment on it. Let's be honest here. So there's no way they're going to teach that only men. See, I think she's really strongly confusing Catholicism with whatever teachings the IBLP or whatever install, because that's not the Catholic religion. They're more than happy to have women leading the way, so long as the donations keep coming in. They don't care. Let's be honest. Families again. My grandparents were strict Catholics. They went to mass multiple times a week. They were, even your grandfather? Like, I think maybe this is where the Irish comes into it. I don't know, but in Irish Catholics, the women were in fact the ones leading the spirituality in the family. The men rarely went to church, even on Sundays. But the women were there every freaking Sunday like clockwork with the grandkids. They were very superstitious about God and how he worked in our lives. They were also very controlling and abusive in using faith to control us. Dude, that's the purpose of religion. It's been the purpose, in my opinion, that's been the purpose of religion since it was concocted. Since even like pagan faiths or pagan beliefs, it's all about human conditioning. You know, it's the betterment of society to have people aligned to the same set of rules and standards and following them, because without it you have chaos, you have anarchy. I mean, that's okay. Control, I think, is a kind of a see. Here's where she puts, in my opinion, her own spin on things. This is like normal growing up everyday shit, but she's using these shock value words, these dire words on it, to give it an illusion to this traumatic upbringing that just, in my opinion, didn't exist at all in the degree in which she wants to present it anyway. That same sort of control was felt through our church and diocese as well. So many rules, so much fear, and incredible guilt was my life. Dude, that's everyone's life at those ages, right? Okay, now I've been talking like this, like nonstop, and I haven't even checked the chat. So for all I know, everyone in chat's like disagreeing with me, but I'm going to check it now. So. Oh, you had a nap? Oh, lucky, Sally. Hi, Sally. Sally, sorry I'm a tad late. Well, next time, just be on time. I'm kidding. Hey, Dash X. Hey, Mousy Files. What the fuck is her hang up with herpes? I don't know. Oh, really? Estella says, I'm guessing that means, oh my God. At EKC People Suck, you just nailed it. This is a description of what someone with antisocial personality disorder would describe a Catholic upbringing, or a Catholic upbringing as. See, I think, and don't take this with a fat fucking grain of salt, because I'm not at all educated, experienced, or otherwise knowledgeable in such areas. But the basic whatever I have, I wonder if this would also be how someone with like adult oppositional defiance disorder would describe things. Because one thing I take away from all of these together is that she's pissed off that she had to go through life. Like, she's pissed off that she had to be made to feel guilty. She had to be told rules and was expected to follow them. Like, that's her trauma, in my opinion. That's her fucking trauma. Like, and the entitlement, I think, comes into where, how dare they expect that of her? I mean, other people, fine, but not her, in my opinion. I think most of us did exactly the same thing. We all snickered our asses off. Dude, there were some times where we had church, because like I said, I went to a Catholic school, so we actually went to Mass a few times a month, or once a month anyway. And like, myself and my best friend from grade school, we couldn't stop laughing. We're laughing at nothing. We just couldn't stop fucking laughing. Like, you would have thought we were high, but yeah. So Katie is a klutz, and somehow it's God's fault. She's like the Forrest Gump of cult experiences, except she has no particular talent explaining how she always happened to be everywhere. Oh my god. Oh god. That's one of the funniest things I ever think I read. She has no particular talent explaining how she always happened to be everywhere. Like, oh my god. That's so fucking good. I gotta remember that. I'll give you credit, of course. All right, let me get down the bottoms. Now that people know I've been watching chat, maybe now they're pushing it out there. For the record, oh my reality. Okay, it wasn't a typo. Okay, I see. See, why my name doesn't come up tagged when I look at it in the chat doc here on OBS. I'm gonna have to pull it up, I think, on here. If I want to see tags. Ah, stop it! Don't fall. I come up tag, but it's a gray tag. That's weird. Okay, whatever. Suzanne, it's sad she had to take your story and try to make it hers. It's sad she has no real life experiences. Oh, she was using parts of your deconversation story last night? Okay. That figures. I would say growing up with military family was 10 times more strict than anything she's talking about, and she's just talking about normal life shit. Yeah. I think you might be right with that. I mean, I never grew up military in a military life, but I mean, we've all seen movies, so I think you might be right. All right, I think I'm good. I'm gonna go back to reading. All right, good. At least I don't see. I mean, it's fine if people are disagreeing with me. I'm not saying that like good. No one's disagreeing with me, but I'm not seeing a whole fucking slew of people disagreeing with me. So that's good. I'm happy to see that. Okay, so going on. Someone says, like we're looking in a mirror. I have no memories of my maternal grandmother other than her being in church daily. As an adult, I now look for good in my fellow humans and to science for helping me learn about our Earth story. Earth story, the universe, and beyond. Well, why would you look to your grandmother for that unless she was like a scientist? I don't know. Okay, maybe I'm reading that wrong. It really depends on the priest and how strictly they interpret the teachings. The first couple priests we had were loving and forgiving and openly associated with pastors of other denominations. Seeing... Okay, I didn't finish. Katie says, I went to public school, thankfully. But my mom had stories like this from her Catholic school. I think the most profound experience that I can think of happened in catechism class. We were doing a lesson on Jesus. We were being taught about his work on earth. I was very confused by the teaching. The teacher told us that Jesus was the Son of God. Oh, I think I know she's going with this. I had the same conversation with the priest. Was the Son of God, but that we should also view him as God. I couldn't make sense of a Son of God being God. Why not? So I said something like, but Jesus isn't God. He was a person and the Son of God. He's not God. The teacher's voice dropped and his face got red. He ripped my arm and dragged me into the hallway. There he screamed at me and demanded to know where I was told that Jesus was not God. The fuck that bullshit. No, here's what I think happened. I think that she, knowing her in that age, probably maybe, I'm thinking she questioned the teacher, but she didn't question the teacher all with that simple question that we all had. Like, who in Catholic school didn't question this exact thing? Everyone did. So no teacher's going to act like, I can't believe the student just said this shit to me, when all the students are questioning this same thing at some point throughout their education here. So I call bullshit. I'm thinking that she questioned it in a much different way, some other way, and he didn't drag her into the hallway, but he went and spoke to her privately rather than embarrassing her in front of the whole class. That's my opinion on it. That's what I think happened. I could be wrong, but whatever. Excuse me. There was also a woman there yelling at me. What? Why would there be a woman there yelling at you? I was so confused because I didn't understand why they were mad. To me, I was confused. To them, I was a heretic. I believe I was in 3rd grade when this happened. That definitely didn't. No. The memory is so vivid to this day. Being yelled at in this way was pretty terrifying for a 9-year-old. I bet that she was yelled at in a similar manner or whatever by a teacher. But I'm going to go out on a limb here and say this was not the cause. This was not the reason. I don't know what it was, but this was not it. It just wasn't. I'm sorry. If a 3rd grader, what religious education instructor is going to drag a kid out by their arm in the 80s? Okay, we'll say, maybe not. Maybe things were different in the 50s, but this is the 80s. Would drag a kid out in the hallway by their arm and scream at them and call them a heretic and want to know where the fuck they heard that Jesus wasn't God, because she's questioning how one entity can be two beings or whatever. And the thing is we all question this. I know I did. I questioned it even further. Like, I've dragged... What's this? I'll address it towards the end here. Okay, I don't want to do it. Sue, I don't want to do it now in the middle. I'll address it. I'll discuss it when I'm towards the end. Thank you. What was I saying? Okay, so yeah, I mean, I went as far as to drag Gabriel, the angel Gabriel, into it, because I was under the impression that Gabriel's the one who put the baby in Mary's belly. So I'm thinking, well, then that means Jesus, God, and Gabriel are all the same person, right? Because the father puts the baby in the woman's belly, right? So how is it that they're all one and the same? That was my whole thinking. But it was explained to me anyways for the Jesus and God thing, is much like you have juniors. They're not exactly the same, but they're related. It's familial. They're the same. That's an oversimplification, but it's how I was explaining it. I don't know. Being on. Okay. Someone says, I'm so sorry you went through that. Asking real. Why is my lipstick bunching up now? All right. Oh yes, this is something that has always made me so confused. My grandparents were so abusive and controlling. My mom was scared to disobey them. Again, that's every child. Even adult children, oftentimes. And I would say that that's not so much a religious problem, but maybe it was a different time. Like, from the stories I've heard as an adult regarding my mom and my grandmother, like, I kind of wonder if my grandmother had maybe issues with borderline narcissism or something. I don't know. But my mom, I know, surely didn't. So, and it seems like I hear a lot of similar stories. So I almost wonder if maybe something like narcissism or narcissistic borderline personality disorder was even more common because of just the way of life during a certain time. Again, fat grain of salt, because I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Anyway. But I think that that's more or less the reason why. Again, this is normal shit, though. Normal shit that we hear. I'm sorry you had to face that as a child. I grew up. Okay. I too grew up Catholic. I had a child out of wedlock. My childhood priest refused to baptize her. That's when I left the church. That's fucked up, because no church should do that. I do kind of question, though, did you offer a donation? Because I have heard of, in some parishes, like every parish that I know has like your main priest, your head priest, and then there's like junior priests or whatever, and it's not unheard of for a parish to deny someone the head priest to perform such a ritual without a donation. And now, I've never heard of a parish putting any kind of minimal amount donation on that. Just any donation, $20, $200, whatever. So I don't know. I'm just putting it out there. I mean, none of the parishes I've heard of would ever deny anyone receiving a sacrament, because of a donation, but they might deny which priest performs the sacrament because of a donation. So, again, it's the Catholic Church. Money talks. So, would not accept me because I'm gay. They would accept women who exercise. They wouldn't accept women who exercise bodily autonomy. What about 2 days? Okay. Their teachings on women homosexuality and their protection of is why I left too. What teachings? What religious doctrine teachings are there that protects the P word there? Where in the Bible are they protected? Because what she's describing is more of a politics situation within the church, something that developed. And I'm sorry, I'm going to argue here. It's not reserved for just the church or just the Catholic Church or just faith in general. This type of politics protecting these people is all across the board in life, in every area, in every location probably, in every phase of life, whatever. It's disgusting and it shouldn't exist anywhere. Yes, correct, for granted. But to just put all of this, to blame it all on the Catholic Church, I mean, I think they were probably the most prominent ones, the ones who are most tied to this kind of practice because, well, they were in the news for it for God knows how long. That's their fault, yes. But, I mean, it's not just them. And the teachings on women, like I said, that definitely gender roles in the Catholic Church, which I disagree with, absolutely. But I never experienced women being viewed poorly. The homosexuality, again, and I realize this may be just my experience here. Other Catholic dioceses, whatever, may have taught something different. They may have taught you to avoid gay people or whatever, but I can't imagine any Catholic church teaching you to be cruel to gay people. I could be wrong. I'll be honest, I could be wrong. But I know I myself was raised to where whether it's homosexuality, whether it's stealing, whether it's whatever, you hate the sin, you don't hate the sinner. You discriminate, or you don't discriminate against anyone for having sinned. That's not your job. To do so is the sin of pride, basically, because you're assuming to know the will of God and to know better or to know best. You're not God. That's like the first thing that they fucking teach you is that you don't have the right to judge such things. I thought every diocese did that, but I could be wrong. I was raised Catholic and lived in my childhood in fear too. I thought God was responsible for pregnancy. There was a Bible passage about how barren couples prayed to God and he gave them a baby. They prayed for the baby though, I'm guessing, right? Once in a while, I would have an upset tummy and was terrified that God was punishing me for being a bad girl by making me pray. That's fucking weird. Okay. The only time I've ever heard of pregnancy being considered or classified as a punishment is when you've had sex, when you've had premarital sex, right? Like, I've never heard of any Catholic saying to some kid, you shouldn't steal that candy bar, God might make you pregnant. And if someone has heard that, then I'm going to say that there's a much larger problem there than religion, okay? Like, the person saying that to a child, I think, is the fucking problem. So, I mean, and even their example here, the couple prayed to God, a barren couple, that means that they're praying to God for a baby. God granted their prayers. So unless you as a kid is praying for a baby, that doesn't make sense to me. I don't know. And even still, like, no, never mind. Okay. I guess maybe. Okay. But I wasn't even old enough to get pregnant, so God made people pregnant as both a punishment and a reward. Yeah, but God didn't make people pregnant because they stole a candy bar. In this rationalization or whatever. God, is said to make people pregnant for the consequence of having sex. Not just for any punishment. Like, you hit your sister, now you're gonna have a baby. Like, okay. Oh my God, I had the same fears. I was constantly afraid I was pregnant as a child for the same reasons. How odd to know someone else felt that way. So either without a crystal ball, just never learned how babies were made as a child, basically, or she did learn, and that's even more disturbing. I don't know what to make of that. I don't want to go down that road. I don't want to think about it. I mean, I can see, like, if you are told that, no, I'm sorry. What would be the point of any Catholic authority figure using pregnancy as a punishment for any action other than premarital sex? Like, why would you go through fearing being pregnant as a kid? Why would you even hear or know of this as a punishment for anything other than premarital sex? This doesn't make sense. I'm extremely skeptical over this. I gotta check chat because maybe it's just me. Is it just fucking me? It could be. I don't know. It just seems weird. Exactly. Thank you, Raven. Yes. That's another good point. Yes, thank you. I was thinking that earlier. I forgot all about it. Thank you. Raven says, Mary was chosen to carry and deliver Jesus because she was highly favorable, not as a punishment. Exactly. So, I mean, even that, where you hear of someone becoming pregnant in Catholic faith or whatever through divine intervention, there was a blessing. There was a blessing to the world. There was a blessing. There was a compliment to Mary, to Joseph, whatever. But it was a blessing to the world. It wasn't punishment. There's never, to my knowledge, been any story or claim of any kind of pregnancy happening through divine intervention as a punishment. The only time I've ever heard of pregnancy being a punishment for anything, it's been premarital sex. It's not been for, like, I don't know, speeding or fucking cheating on your husband. Well, no, maybe cheating on your husband would be premarital sex. Or not. Yeah, it would be. But it's never been, like, for not paying your taxes. Like, I never heard of God, like, just through divine intervention giving someone pregnancy because they didn't pay their taxes. It's fucking weird. Yes, the idea of pregnancy is a punishment is actually sick in general. I agree. I fully agree. Regardless, it has been, I have heard it used as a negative consequence for things like premarital sex, Yeah, Dash X. In Hebrew school, we were taught women are holier than men. That's why we were created last, perfected. I think most Abrahamic, I don't know, religions revere procreation, more members. Exactly, yeah. Like, even in Catholicism, like, if you actually delivered the baby out of wedlock, like, and I'm going back years. I don't think this is so much the case now, but, like, a little bit was the case when I was growing up. If you delivered a baby outside of wedlock, it was frowned upon. But if you conceived it outside of wedlock, it was fine so long as you were married by the time the baby was delivered. Like, it was then a joy, a blessing. It was welcomed. Yeah, it's weird, but still. Yes, Raven, according to Catholic doctrine, Mary is the only immaculate human ever, aside from Jesus, who is, of course, both human and divine. Mary was honored because she was superior and welcomed it. Yeah. And guess what? She was a woman. So, I mean, where she's severely, I think, confusing. She's been talking about these Christianity sects and these cults or whatever so much that she has just now kind of conflated them all into Catholicism. And she's now trying to find some sort of way in which she can relate to things for whatever reason. So she's drawing and pulling from her own upbringing as a Catholic and trying to compare it and combine it, and she shouldn't be trying that. It's not applicable, in my opinion. Okay, so holy shit. Oh my god, that's right. Shit. Oh my god. I'm such an asshole. Wait a second. I'll be right back. Okay, yes. So, I received 2 Amazon packages yesterday, and I want to thank Flying Mom. I think I just seen her in chat. I'm an asshole. I meant to do this in the very beginning. I apologize. But I want to thank Flying Mom for the black cord strips and the other pink ones. Mm-hmm. So, yay. Now I can't wait to put these on. I'm going to have everything so nice, neat, and tidy here where nothing's going to get ruined or stepped on or pulled or knocked over. Thank you. Thank you so much. So excited. Okay. Thank you. And thank you so much for the 10 free memberships here that you just gifted. It's to -X, to Kathy Ann, Robin Becker, Green Worm, Nurse Linny, Jenny Mack, Just Me Heather, and Jess, Al Capone, and Sheila Marie. Yay! Thank you. And just so you know, if you received a membership, it's picked randomly by YouTube. Like the person will buy just 10 memberships and then YouTube distributes them. I just like to reiterate this so I don't want people to be like, well, why didn't she give me one? It's YouTube that didn't give you one. That's all. It wasn't Flying Mom. So, okay. Thank you. Now I totally forgot what I was talking about. Shit. Fuck. I think I was reading something. Yes, I was. Okay. Oh, yes. Okay. My theory is that KJ had no issue with religion and or God until later in life. When her son was born and her prayers weren't answered, she got angry, Jujubee says. And I do think you're right. I'll cover that in just a second, Autistic Shell. So I do think you're right. However, I think that she holds a lot of resentment towards religion because she didn't like being told not to do things. So I think that she's always had like an underlying resentment there, which I mean I think a lot of us do, a lot of people do, whatever. It is what it is. But I think you're right. I think that's kind of what pulled it out of her. Yes. And Autistic Shield says, oh, be ready. Nonsense is claiming she has a bad feeling something is going to happen this weekend. Okay, what drama is she going to cause? Yeah, I love that. She's telling on herself there. If anything bad happens, she's telling on herself. Like, there's no reason to suspect anything bad happening this weekend unless you know if something bad about to happen this weekend, right? Whatever. Good for her. Who knows? My first green name. Yay! You do look nice and green. And oh, by the way, I was looking over the chat from yesterday. I want to apologize. Yes, it wasn't Al Capone's number one Mal, aka Liz's birthday the other day. It was actually Al Capone's birthday the other day, and the account here was celebrating it. So I want to just clarify that. So yay! Happy birthday, Al Capone. Okay, so let me go back. There's only a few left here. All right. I had the same fears. I was afraid it was right. How odd to know someone else felt that way. I kind of wonder just really how odd is that that account felt that way. But I digress. Oh wow, I had no idea other girls thought this. The whole Virgin Mary and the way the church viewed Mary really made me believe that babies were basically planted by God in stomachs. That's how I arrived at that conclusion. Like, you don't have to spell it out like that. We kind of figured that that's how you arrived at that conclusion by just stating you had the conclusion. But you're spelling it out here like you want to just make sure people get this. You want to make sure that they get it. Because you're not sure. Because it's too important to you that people get this. That just, like, why? Yeah, anyway, I digress. The whole Virgin Mary. The whole virgin part wasn't to, at least in my opinion, wasn't to glorify the fact that she just hadn't had sex yet. It was to reiterate and bring home, and to drill home how miraculous it was for her to become pregnant being a virgin. That's what the whole, in my opinion, from my understanding, that's why they push the whole Virgin Mary thing. Because it offers so much value to the claim of miracle and this conception, right? I mean, it's not like, oh, she was better. She was immaculate because she was a virgin. No, she was immaculate because she was Mary. She just happened to be a virgin. And that's why her becoming pregnant was such a fucking miracle, right? That's how I took it. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Okay, and I think this is the last one. My grandparents were hardcore Catholics. This led to my mom thinking that God was going to notify the police that she'd bought cigarettes from the Quickie Mart down the road when she was 16 or 17. Why? She was 16 or 17. Was there, I mean, I don't know how old their mother is, but, and she bought them, they're saying, right? Not stole them. Why would, anyway. I mean, it sounds so familiar, not gonna lie. You know, I think it's important to just remember, for the most part, that, like, our grandparents, at least my grandparents, you know, that era, whatever, they grew up in a different time. Like, my grandparents were born in the early 1920s. So they grew up through, like, World War II and shit, you know? And, like, my parents grew up, or, you know, were young adults throughout Vietnam and shit. So, I mean, and they don't have the internet to rely on for the spread of information. They pretty much have just what's taught to them throughout their upbringing. And the overall, like, zeitgeist of living through a war, just how people view life. I imagine superstition becomes a huge part in that. It becomes their hope. It becomes so much of a lot of things that they put blame and they put their hopes into, because it, like, normally no one can live through shit like this with such anticipation and feel like they can't, there's nothing they can do. They have to feel like they're doing something. So I think throughout those times, the act of just going to church, the repetition, I don't know, I think that was their way of dealing with their anxiety of things, you know. And I think that's important to remember. So when I think when people grow up in that kind of setting, so much faith and so much everything just given right over to the concept of religion, and you're a child growing up in that, well, then I think that's why our parents just grew up the way they did and just adopted their beliefs the way they did, because that was their experience. And then I think when they became older and they became adults, and as they matured as adults, they had other realizations, and then slowly these are the things that were instilled in us, and then we have our own realizations, and then we're instilling that into our own kids. So it's not wrong, it's not traumatic. And the thing is, it's about the time and the era. It's not about just the faith. The faith sure contributed, maybe even a lot, but that's because they didn't have anything else to hold on to, I think, in my opinion. I could be wrong, but holy shit. Sue Elliott, thank you so much. Oh my God, I'm not even looking at chat. Jesus, I gotta look. Okay, Sue Elliott, thank you so much for the memberships. Navajo Blondie, Princess Jax, Angels Among Us, 95, Jalesia Marcus, Dash X, or no wait, Laura Nelson, Grouchy Mama Bear, Teresa, Chris 10K, Field of Love Nano, Gangster Pom Pom 79. Oh my God, thank you so much, Sue. Yay. Hey, new members. I'm going to have to start offering more shit for membership, I think. I should be doing that to begin with. Oh, wait, what? Well, that's an interesting thing to see in my chat. I'm not going to call it out, though, but I notice it. Anyway. So I think we're just taking that into consideration. It's not some... It wasn't... I think much of the things, though, she's listing here is just normal coming-of-age shit. Normal growing up. Like, we all live in fear of disappointing our parents or doing wrong or being labeled the bad kid or the bad person, whatever. You know, the fuck up, you know? Like, no one wants to be the black sheep until, like, you're older and you're an adult. Then you might be a little proud to be the black sheep. But, like, while growing up, it sucks being the black sheep. It does. And nobody wants to be that or whatever. But oftentimes, I think everyone probably feels like the black sheep, just maybe some more than others. And the shit she's explaining, like, being told to fear disobeying your parents. See, if this were a cult, really, and this were some religious trauma, in my opinion, I think that they would be instilling in someone to be in fear of disobeying the faith rather than disobeying their parents. You know, because that's giving control over to some external, you know, entity or people outside of the faith. They're giving control of your mind to someone else, basically. You know, they're not fighting for that control. So that's kind of how it should be, I think. I don't know. But and the things that she describes, it's all normal shit. To finally come to a point where you can have faith in yourself and confidence and trust yourself, we've all gone through that. You know, especially at those ages. This isn't religious trauma. And this isn't... I mean, unless you want to call all of life, you know, traumatic, which, sure, there's an argument. This isn't any extraordinary trauma. This is just living life. And I think she's pissed off that she's been made to live life like the rest of us because she shouldn't have had to. That's my opinion. I don't know. What? Dude, oh my God. That's like the coolest thing I ever heard, Dash X. My mom also would sunbathe topless on the turrets of the Tower of London when she lived in there, watching the tourists. What? I have a feeling you're pulling my leg. But I want to live in a world where that's true. Oh, I'm on live chat, or I'm on top chat. I never even put it on live chat. Damn it. God damn it. All right. I don't even know if that makes a difference, though, during the stream. I think it makes a difference after the stream. Yeah, again, I think she is combining others' stories as her own, grandma, mom. Right, and even the ones that she reiterates of her mom's stories or grandmother's, like, I'm going to say that that's pretty par for the course on most people living throughout those times. You know, I mean, and her having, and basically, even if you're told that anytime you physically hurt yourself, it's God's way of just reminding you of some bad shit you did. I mean, how long are you going to act naive to that and act like you believe this and this is true? Like, at some point in time, you have to kind of, I don't know, grow up, you know, unless you're saying that you were so naive while growing up that it never dawned on you that might not be true. You know, sure, it could be scary or shit. It'd be, I don't know, like upsetting to believe that as a young child. But how, I mean, did you believe in the Tooth Fairy and Santa Claus too until you were in your 20s? You know, I don't know. I just feel like you can't really act like you were some victim here because you were led to believe something that was ridiculous as a child and act as though you never came to realize it was ridiculous. That's my opinion. Yeah, exactly. She went to public school. She isn't that naive. Exactly. Now, granted, I went to Catholic school, and we did have, like, kind of a sex ed. It wasn't a class. It was, like, one time, a one-time event where the boys went in whatever room and watched whatever video and the girls went in their, you know what I mean? I think there's more like a changing of your body sort of thing. But I do briefly recall them saying that to us anyways, as us females, that once we did start our period, well then that meant that we were capable of becoming with child. So we were at least taught that, you know? Yeah. And that was like that was third grade, I think. I think it was third grade. It might have been fourth. I'm pretty sure it was third, though. It was before I started mine, I know. And I think I started mine at fourth. So, but anyway. I don't remember. Fourth would have been 10. No, it's right. I started it later. So I think it was fourth grade. All right. Yeah, I think it was 10 in fourth grade. So I think it was that. So yeah, there's at least that. You know, to then act like you were 14 years old thinking that God was just going to like strike you with pregnancy for smoking a cigarette behind the school or something. You know, I'm sorry, I don't buy that. And I don't think you really want people to buy that because that doesn't look good for you. She was so scared. But speaks about how she was yeah, exactly. Yeah. She spent these years, whatever, fearing STDs and pregnancy or whatever. And it's like, okay, well, that tells me that you were, throughout these years, you were either under the belief that it could happen for any reason, or you knew exactly what caused these things, and you were doing the things that caused these things, right? I don't think it's the latter, don't get me wrong, but I don't think it's either. I think the whole thing's bullshit, but anyway. Same-sex ed taught in public school gym class. Wait, you're saying do you mean same-sex ed taught in public school, or same-sex ed? Like, there's no punctuation there. I'm not sure how to take that. Yes, let me go back to the whole, in the beginning, where I questioned her, the whole thing, the list of things on why God was punishing her by making her stub her toe. One of the things she listed was being bullied. And Autistic Shield brings up a good point here. So is KJ blaming victims of horrors for what they went through? Is CSA the fault of the child, or natural disasters, or war, famine, etc., etc.? We know she does so. Yep. Exactly. So, like, is she saying that it's applicable to blame people for the tragedies not the tragedies, but for when they are victimized by other people? Like, I'm not talking about like the tragedy of stubbing your toe. I'm talking about being victimized by people through being bullied, okay? She's equating the two. I don't see how those go hand in hand, not even in that context. That seems very weird to me. Like, I wonder if maybe she blames people for being bullied. In my opinion, at least that's what I wonder. I don't know, but not saying that's what it is. But I wonder. She must have been absent that day. Sex ed taught in public school gym. Okay. See, I learned what I learned there in Catholic school, about the whole, your body, you kind of education there for the day, for the afternoon rather. Other than that, it was 7th grade health class. But yeah, either way, by the time I was 13, I knew exactly how babies were made. Just saying. Yeah, though I don't agree with, physical abuse or corporal punishment. Sunday Night Live does bring up a good point. Did anyone get beaten just for the fun of it? No. I mean, we usually did something to anger our parents for such a thing. Like, my mom slapped me twice in my entire life. And I think both times I absolutely had it coming, though I still don't agree with her decision to do so. She never laid a hand on anyone that I ever saw, ever, throughout my entire life, other than those 2 times. So, and even that wasn't hard. Anyway. Our parents were kids raising kids, and we usually got thumped after being warned a zillion times, and parents were warned then. Yeah. I mean, again, like, it's obviously I don't agree with it, but yeah, I do agree that that's exactly how and why it happened. So is KJ Blake? Oh, I already read that. See, I think you might be onto something, Kimberly Ann. She says, I think KJ also is antisocial, so all types of spiritual fellowship that brings people together is a cult. She is so warped. Can you imagine her in any kind of group? She'd find issues in the group. See, yes and no, but I think she has to tackle every social setting she comes into. I don't know why. I don't understand the whole thinking behind it, the whole logic or whatever. I don't know. I'm not educated, whatever. But like, I think whether it's like a team thing at work or a group of friends, whatever, I think she looks at it as something she has to like rope, I guess, like lasso. Like she has to gain control of it. She has to be in charge or whatever, or she has to be the star student by being the best. The I don't know. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that or that's a personality defunct. I don't know. I'm not saying that at all. I think there's been times in my life where I felt the same way, Just I don't think to that degree, but again, I'm huge fat grain of salt with everything I say. My mom had kids in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. What? I have a brother nearly 60 and another baby brother who's 28. Oh my god. Oh my god, it's crazy. Yeah, when I went out to dinner with a group of girlfriends I went to school with, like this was like grade school, junior high mostly, and we went to high school together too, but we mostly hung around like grade school and junior high. We're all the same age, like within a few months. And one of my girlfriends has a 10-year-old. Like another one of my friends said, I can't imagine going to these games and everything, yada yada yada, at this age. I'm like, I can't imagine having a 10-year-old at this age. Holy shit. It may be some kind of personality disorder. I don't know. And I don't even judge someone for having a personality disorder. Hell, I probably have a few of them myself, or I don't know, close to it. But like, I don't know. It's the whole being able to acknowledge these things within yourself and to grant the grace you so demand to be granted yourself. That's when I see that not being the case. That's when I take notice, I think. I don't know. Because, like, and it's the entitlement. I'll be honest. It's the fucking entitlement. Like, I joke around or whatever saying how, like, I'm a good person to spot entitlement in others because, like, I've gotten with my own, mistaken sense of entitlement, whatever. Like, my sisters would probably be the first ones to say, yeah, that's true. But, like, I don't know. I think that when you do finally realize it in yourself, then you see it in others. Or when you see it in others, maybe you start to realize it in yourself. I don't know which comes first there. But, like, when you want to sit there and point it out in everything and everyone else and what they do and their actions and everything, but you won't even consider it in yourself, like, that's exploitative, in my opinion. Like, you're looking to exploit people for your own personal pleasure and or gain. I don't like that. Well, when it's your whole personality, it's a disorder. Okay. I'll take your word for it. Thank you, Estella. You're the only girl too. Oh, wow, Dash X. That had been interesting. See, I oftentimes, like, feel bad for my dad, like, the years, we were all growing up and shit, because he was the only male in a household of 5. And there was one bathroom. You're the same age as my middle brother that I looked up to a lot growing up. Similar music taste too. You also look a lot like my mom. Aw, probably why I'm endeared to you. Oh my god, you're gonna make me cry. More sane than her though. Oh, I don't know about that. And see, it's easy for me to present this image of sanity because I know that people are watching. You don't see me off camera. And you won't. All right, so that's pretty much all I had. Although there's one, I'm going to go over a couple more screenshots here. Like, why is I swear my fan keeps moving. I have it on me, but then it moves. I'm not even, it's swinging on its own, but it only swings so far. Now it's not swinging at all. Why is it swinging? Oh, because I'm hitting the wrong button. That would be why. One swinging again? Okay. Now it's right directly on me. There we go. It is better. I don't want it directly on me because then I'll hit the microphone. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. No, there's a few other screenshots I want to go over, though. Yeah, and it snowed out last night, so I didn't want to put food out for the crows because I want them to see me pick up the change. So, and they usually come around like close to noon. So I need there not to be snow on the ground so they can see the change there. They can see me go out there when I hear them crowing around because they've been doing that now almost daily because I think they're yelling for peanuts. But I need to hear them. I need them to see the change, to see me pick it up and then to put the peanuts down. That's what I need. Otherwise, it's just a waste of time. And today it snowed and I haven't heard any crowing anyways. But I've been documenting it all, so I plan on putting it together in a video once I start getting money from the crows. Okay, so moving on. There's just a few screenshots in this next one. Okay, so here we have. The money troubles of the Browns have been extensive, but it's Cody's lack of income and continued financial abuse of Janelle Brown that is the... I can't stand it when she can't write. Why is this the same picture? Janelle left the family and in 2002 purchased a home of her on her own. Okay. Oh, it looks like I downloaded one of these twice too. Well, I see. It's going through the different pictures and the slide thing. Okay. Cody and Mary could not okay, so let me go back to the beginning because apparently I think I missed something. All right. Cody's history of using Janelle for money. That's what the screenshot says. Oops. Janelle left the family in 2000 and in 2002 purchased a home on her own. Wrong one. Third one. Cody and Mary could not qualify due to their bankruptcy. Cody manipulates Janelle to move with them, to Utah. Janelle originally bought the home. Janelle's income and credit were used to buy the house. You established that she bought the fucking house. I think we got this. That's the same one, right? Yeah. The money troubles of the Browns. Oh, I already read that. The money troubles of the Browns have been extensive, but it's Cody's lack of income and continued financial abuse of Janelle Brown that is the real story of their history. Cody and his 3 wives lived together in a 1296 home. I don't know what that means. Until Janelle had her son Gabriel. The family of 9 kids and 3 wives crammed into the home, which had a tiny in-law suite in the backyard. The home was purchased in 1997 by Cody and Mary. In 2001, Janelle left the family after being depressed and tired of the poverty she lived in. She briefly lived with her mom. Then she purchased a home in Powell, which was 1,400 square feet with 3 bedrooms and 2 full baths. By 2005, Cody and Mary were unable to keep up with their bills. They declared bankruptcy. The family remained in Powell for a short time and then abandoned their home and creditors and moved to Utah. How do you abandon creditors? Like, they find you, dude. Like, right? Okay. The home Cody and Mary owned was foreclosed upon and sold by bankruptcy trustees to pay off their creditors. Once in Utah, Cody and Mary could not afford a home on their own. Janelle writes in their book that over a matter of months, Cody convinced her to give up her job and move to Utah. What she doesn't write in the book is that Janelle is the one that bought the home and Leahy, not Cody. Oh, okay. Cody had found a home, but couldn't afford it nor qualify. He made all kinds of promises to Janelle to win her back, and then she bought the home for him. Her name is the only name on the property in 2006. By 2009, Janelle had deeded joint title to Mary and Cody. Janelle still held the debt for the home, but the married couple were added to the title. Okay. In Utah, Janelle still worked for the family while Cody bounced around from job to job. Mary's employment was sporadic, and Christine didn't work. Janelle was so committed to her faith and so determined to make the family work, she was a perfect target for Cody to exploit. Property records are public record, so it's just so weird that the truth would be left out. Here. Cody was no provider for his family. He's seemingly an expert at exploiting his wives for profit. No wonder advocates call polygamy human trafficking. There we have it, folks. Katie got to rope in human trafficking again with another story. Bravo, bravo. Because everything must be human trafficking. Everything. And I'm not saying that human trafficking maybe doesn't exist in these faiths. Sure, it does. Because it exists, I think, in most places in life to a degree. But she just has to tie everything into it. That's weird to me. And I'm not sure how this is human trafficking, really, because, like, he convinced her. Maybe he hoodwinked her or whatever, sure. But she's free to leave because they were all free to leave. Because, like, haven't some of them left on their own free will so far? So they were free to leave. I mean, sure, he may be opportunistic and he may be exploitative and he may be a predator in the sense of taking advantage of people like that for financial reasons. Absolutely. He's a shitbag. But and I say this knowing that I've been there myself, knowing full well I've been there myself. And I put a good portion of that blame on me. Because like we were talking about earlier, like we all kind of come to trust ourselves as we get older, you know, as we become more sure with ourselves. Well, when you're younger, you're not quite there, or you're not there to the degree in which you are when you're older. And you do kind of fall, you get duped into things, you know. I mean, I don't blame myself for it, but I blame myself for it. You know, like I maybe should have had more confidence in myself, trust in myself, or, you know, just fucking thought about shit rather than making excuses for it. But, you know, I don't blame myself because, like, I did what I did because I thought that was best, you know. Again, I kind of apply the same thinking here. I'm sorry. I don't mean that in a mean, rude, bad way in any manner whatsoever. I don't blame them, but they're not victims of human trafficking, in my opinion. That's all. So yeah, that's it. I think was that the last one? Yes, I believe it was. Okay. That's all I had for today. Yeah, the fact that the wives were allowed to walk away when they wanted without coercion or threats or losing kids is hopeful to see. I would love to see polygamists move more in the open. Sometimes marriage fails. Yeah. You know, sometimes polygamous marriages fail because they're marriages that fail, and it's not because of the polygamy, although I think it might be because of the polygamy most of the time. The Crow project you have going is phenomenal, and I'm here for it. Mm-hmm. I'm guessing you're talking about your mom. She loves crows too. You know, at the tower they have a crow keeper because of old superstition. They keep extras too in case one kicks off. No. Oh, that's so cool. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, she had a meltdown last night on Instagram. Although I don't think it was a meltdown by Katie's standards. She just snapped and signed off because people weren't acknowledging her religious trauma. Although that victim video, I want to count how many times she says victim in that. Let me see. Pull it up real quick. Or no, how many times she says trauma. I'm sorry, the word trauma, not victim. I hear gross, but it's snowing outside. Damn it, they won't see the change. Fuck. Oh, God, now an hour ago she posted about Catholic sexual, or SA. Oh, you know, she's really going to hammer this home. Like, I'm going to tell you all the horrible things that happened in Catholicism from the fucking, what was it? The Crusades till now. Until you hate that religion right along with me. The Crusades was Catholicism, right? It wasn't Protestant. I don't know. Maybe it was Christian. Anyway. Did she take down the Instagram Live? I think she did. It's alright, there's clips of it on Twitter. But for now, I want to play what she uploaded after the Instagram Live. So, I'm going to move this here. Why isn't this coming out more? Is it stuck on something? Okay, I don't know.
As someone that's gone through my own religious trauma and has my own religious trauma, the one thing that you should never do to someone that has religious trauma is invalidate their trauma by saying that because you are the same denomination as them, their trauma is invalid because you didn't experience that. It's not up to you to tell someone whether or not they've had trauma. It's not up to you to decide if their trauma is real. If someone tells you they have trauma from religion and from spirituality and from religious leaders, believe them. Just because you haven't had religious trauma, be lucky and be glad. Because those of us that have gone through religious trauma, it's hell.
10 times.
As someone that's gone through
10 times. She said the word trauma 10 times. I don't know why it jumps out at you, doesn't it? Because I'm not saying because like it jumps out at me because like she doesn't own it the source or anything like that. I know. But it's because like she just wants to really hammer home the word trauma. Like she doesn't want anyone to even remotely consider this. It's just average, common, to be expected during an upbringing or anything like that. No, this is special. This was traumatic for her. Like, that's traumatic? I mean, okay, maybe technically not wrong, but you want to compare that to actual trauma that people deal with growing up, okay? You're going to demand the same consideration. You're going to demand to invoke the same feelings of empathy and compassion from people for that as trauma as other people do for actual trauma. Like, you want to be on the same level playing field as those who've gone through really traumatic shit after you having to dealt with just growing up, basically. Like, that's my issue with it all, you know? Anyway. I didn't even look through the comments here. I don't think. No, I didn't. Okay. You handled these comments perfectly. I was well to see former Catholics here as if they outrank you. It's not a ranking issue. Okay. Sadly, this is so common when I speak about my experience being raised in the Catholic Church. While it's true that every family is different, I would say that the church I was raised in and my grandparents' church were awful. I think everyone has different experiences, but with millions of former Catholics having similar stories as mine, I know that I'm not alone. Those that had good experiences seem to be blinded to those of us that did not. No, we're not blinded to people who had bad experiences. We're just blinded to what you're trying to classify as these bad experiences, especially in relation to other people's actual bad experiences. That's the problem. When a Catholic tells me that they read the Bible, I always giggle. I think about how they probably read a verse because that was what the priest said to do. There was never Bible reading classes or groups. I mean, if you actually read the Bible, you realize half the Catholic rules aren't biblical. If they're in the Bible, biblical requires that they're in the Bible. That's what makes them biblical. Anyway, I think she's trying to use a different word there, but she's sticking with biblical. Oh, half the Catholic rules aren't biblical. Okay, yeah, I read that wrong. My bad. Yeah, I don't remember reading the Bible much throughout Catholic school, at least not as a kid. Like, that more or less was something we were expected to do in our older years of education, like from the time of our confirmation classes on, and I did read the Bible in school, throughout school, not all at once, but I did. And I read it again as an adult, and mostly I read it as an adult because, like, I was working at this tuxedo shop when I was pregnant with, I think it was my second child, so it was like 21 years ago maybe, and unless there's a prom or a wedding or his wedding season, the store was kind of dead. You got bored a lot. The only book they had there was the freaking Bible. That's why I read it as an adult, and it was quite entertaining. Oh, where are you going? Oh, yes, right. It's Friday, huh? Okay, all right. Have fun. All right, I'll see you later. Are you guys gonna go for food?
Why?
Well, because if you guys are going out for fish fry, then you might want to consider me when you come home.
You back in about 15 minutes. I already got you something.
Oh, you did? Okay, good. All right, thank you. I'll make sure I'm off in 15 then. All right, thank you.
15, 20.
Yeah, I got you. All right, thank you. Okay, so yeah, I don't know. Just she wants people to not overgeneralize their experiences with Catholicism and just apply it to everyone else. But yet here she is generalizing the whole act of reading the Bible in Catholicism and applying it to everyone else. Like, that's her experience. She didn't grow up reading it. I'm wondering, was she instructed to, but she just didn't? Was this during one of her rebellious phases? Okay, I digress. Also, thanks. I don't go out of my way to share personal stories. I don't even need to finish that sentence. I just know it's going to be fucked up. I don't go out of my way to share personal stories unless they're relevant to what is being covered on. No, you take advantage of the opportunity when it's relevant, but nah, you share them just fine even when they're not. Anyway. Relevant to what is being covered. So if I have personal experience in a topic, I may share that. I'm also very mindful that my experience is my experience. A lot of active Catholics don't like those of us that speak about our negative experiences. Again, we know that people had negative experiences. That's life. It's going to happen everywhere in life. We're just disagreeing with the things that you're constituting as negative experience and to the degree in which you want to constitute them as a negative experience, in my opinion. Oh yes, the homophobia was a huge part of my upbringing from the church, for sure. See, I don't recall that at all. At least not to that degree. Like, it was what I said it was, in my opinion. You are the second person that has said this about my post. When I view the post, it has the share arrow. Okay, I don't know what that means. I don't care. It's very triggering when that happens. I'm so sorry. So much this. I wish I could share it to my story because I have too many people who respond when I talk about my religious trauma with, well, it's not like that in my church, or not all Christians are like that. Again, that's Christianity. That's not Catholicism. And I think she's conflating the two. I think the majority of Christianity, sects and stuff, don't have these experiences, at least not to this degree. But yeah, some do. It's always so invalidating. And like, they need to have the last word about something that happened to me and is part of my experience. See, if I did that, I would be doing it to say, hey, why not consider where I attend? Because here's what been my experience here. it's been a good experience. I would like to see that for you. Why not consider it here? But that's me. I could be wrong. Boy, she commented on a lot of these, huh? Or she replied, rather. To be fair, I never recall the priests being political growing up. They never spoke about politics at Mass or in catechism because they can't by law. I didn't know they couldn't by law. But I don't recall that either. Like, the only time I recall a priest talking about anything political, it wasn't from a place of politics. It was from a place of morality. But it just happened to be like a political talking point at that time. It could be the diocese in Texas as a whole. The churches I attended live by the law of God. They might speak about topics that seem political in nature, but my family was oddly democratic because of union family members. I don't know what that means, but okay. I want to say that maybe the person in Texas is talking about Christianity, but they use the word priests, so I don't know. All right, I'm going to pull that quick clip up from Twitter where she does kind of flip out or whatever. All right. And then I have to sign up. I have to. All right, so there. Let me go to Twitter. I think Llama Girl has it.
But most of our time was dedicated in these weird, because there was trauma.
Yeah, the whole corporal punishment thing too. That was not at all reserved to Catholic Church, not at all. The most violent any teacher I recall ever getting was, I had a 5th grade teacher throw an eraser at one student a couple times, and a friend of mine in class, she picked up her notebook. The teacher picked up her notebook and threw it on the floor. Like, that's it. My sisters, I think, have more examples though from growing up, but they're 6 and 8 years older than me. And we all went to Catholic school. But like my grandmother, I remember telling me, in regard to, I think maybe, I don't know if it was one of her siblings or one of her cousins. It was one or the other, who went to school with her or whatever. And this happened, I guess, with my mother throughout school, and they all, everyone involved went to public school. But it was either my grandmother's sibling or cousin who was left-handed, and my mother was left-handed, and that's why I remember the two stories my grandmother was telling me. She was explaining to me how the teachers would try to beat the left-handedness out of them and like pretty much beat them into being right-handed, or beat their hand, whether slap it with a ruler or whatever. Like I said, that was public school. I think Catholic schools just might have carried it on longer than public schools because they were held to a different standard, or the regulation was lacking. But it was in no way like reserved just for Catholic school. Not at all. Okay, so here's where that is. All right, let me share screen. Oh, wait, shoot. Let me make sure that I got my messages thing down. I do, okay. All right, so here is the clip from, and this is from Llama Girl over on Twitter. Katie hasn't gone live on Instagram in a while, but Llama Girl was still there and caught it and broke it up into clips and put it up there on Twitter. Pretty much anytime Katie goes live, Llama Girl's there to catch it, put it into clips, and put it up on Twitter. And I know myself, as both someone just who follows the shit, but largely too because of being a content creator, I so value everything Llama Girl does here because she makes a lot of the things you see on YouTube as far as like content possible. So thank you. What am I doing? I'm going here. Okay.
She said, I was raised Catholic and never read the Bible. Yeah. I didn't like really start reading the Bible until like in my 20s, 30s. I don't know. But I knew I knew the 10 Commandments. I knew all the sacraments. I knew all the rules of the Catholic Church. I knew my rosaries. I knew my Hail Marys. I knew the Father, the Lord's Prayer. I knew the Glory Be. I knew all of that.
There's only one Hail Mary. What?
Yes, confession terrified me. I never said that oh God, see, this is what people are so dumb. I'm not generalizing for anyone. I'm not saying that every Catholic is the same. I'm saying my experience. So, this is weird. This is the problem. This is why I don't go on here. I'm going to go. Good night.
Okay, so many things about. First, I wanted to say, like, this is just my experience. I'm not generalizing, but yes, she wants to throw in there as an added fact to back up her stance that this has been so good. This is the common story I'm told from so many other people. Like, you can't have it both ways. But the end first, I cannot ignore the fact that did she just call her viewers stupid? Like, she said there, like, this is weird, this is the problem, or no, wait, before, this is something so stupid. Like, I gotta hear that again. Wait.
I never said that oh God, see, this is what people are so dumb.
This is why people are so dumb. She just called them dumb. She did, right? Like, I'm not hearing shit. Wow. Oh, boy. I don't know, that's not a good look.
I'm not generalizing for anyone. I'm not saying that every Catholic is the same. I'm saying my experience. So, this is weird. This is the problem. This is why I don't go on here. I'm going to go. Good night.
This is the problem. This is why she doesn't go on there. I do think she's absolutely right in that. I do think that the reason why she doesn't go on her Instagram Live that often is because she gets called out and she can't handle it. I mean, that's absolutely true. But, oh well, it is what it is. Okay, so on that note, I'm going to check chat here real quick. Then I think I'm going to wrap it up. Say goodbye. Hey, Claire. Oh, Claire, tonight, right? I need a time because I might go out to dinner with my son, so I need a time. You probably put it up in Discord or something. I just haven't been in there. Hey, live life whimsically. Hey, Fly. Oh, I said hi to Fly Mom, and thank you again, Fly Mom, for the brackets, the little. Right, see, if I want to see, they hold you stick them, and then they hold the cords in place, and together, like, I'm so psyched about this, and there's a lot of them too, like, and there's a lot of the single ones, so, thank you. This shit, remember when we were growing up or whatever, and we were playing with our friends, and we were playing, like pretend school, or pretend office, like we're doing all these office things with, like, I don't know, paper and shit, like, this is what it feels like for me when I get to do shit like this. I feel like I'm playing Office again as a kid. Yes, I have to say I agree with Estella. I don't know what you guys are talking about, but something she says here I emphatically agree with. But she says, how can we society shame them if we don't know who they are? Yes, I will refuse to associate with anyone flying a Nazi flag, but I invite them to do it so there's no mistake. Say it out loud. I got into an argument about this on a local news thread a few years ago because there was a family in a town that was like 5 minutes away who had a disgusting display of racism. Well, I'll leave it at that, in front of their home. And it wasn't around Halloween or anything like that. There's no reason for it other than you were trying to put out a racist, viewpoint, whatever, with it, And in the news article, the town's chief of police said, unfortunately, this is the negative part of freedom of speech, it's like a double-edged sword or some variation of that. But it's when he said unfortunately that caught my attention. Because, yeah, sure, freedom of speech may very well be a double-edged sword, absolutely. But I wouldn't be calling that unfortunate because, like, it's freedom of speech isn't just about giving someone the freedom or the right to express themselves. It is also granting you the ability to know who it is around you, to know who holds what views around you. See, like, if society or whatever were to fall and we had to rely more on our neighbors and the government, I want to know which one of my neighbors here is a misogynistic incel asshole or is a racist or is a homophobe. I want to know this. And if you start taking away people's ability to tell you who they are, then they're going to be forced to speak of it in private. And that's never turned out well. So I don't know what you guys are talking about. I have no idea, but I just wanted to share my take on that and say, yes, you're right. I agree. I have no idea what you're talking about, though. That's why we keep a specific number of ravens at all times on the grounds. If the Tower of London ravens are lost to fly away, the crown will fall in Britain with it. Oh my, that is the coolest thing I ever heard. Exactly. See, in Dash X's. I'd also prefer to know if someone doesn't believe I have a right to exist up front. Bless you for having those conversations. So, yeah. Okay, I think we're good. Good in here at the end. Oh my God. Discussing this on Twitter right now. Anti-vaxxer told someone that their name is very close to Norman. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, the whole insurrection thing at the Capitol after that parlor kind of went down. I emphatically disagreed with that move, the whole taking down parlor. It's back up, mind you. But like, the majority of people can figure out how to use a social media app like Facebook or whatever, Parler even. I get taking that off the public feed on Facebook, sure. And maybe the private groups were getting a little big on Facebook. I don't know. I don't know what to make of that. But the fact that you then took away the one place everyone did go after Facebook, Parler, you take that away, you're going to force people onto places like 4chan. And the majority of your average internet user doesn't go on 4chan, doesn't use 4chan. They're not going to know about it. You're going to put it right back in secret again, but it's not going to stay. It's going to spread just the same. The people who are going to be susceptible to it are still going to be susceptible to it. You're just now hiding the fact that it's existing from the people who should monitor it or who can speak out against it, I think. That's why I did not agree with Parler being shut down. And also, too, don't we want to, if people are out to harm society or something, don't we want to be able to know about this and watch them try? Or I don't know. I didn't agree with that. I understood it, but I didn't agree with it. Oh, God, yes, Flying Mom. Free speech allows for real conversations, not bubble convos. Yes. Exactly. You're never going to be able to convince a racist that their beliefs are wrong without being able to discuss it with them. And you're never going to know who you need to or who you can or should discuss these things with if they're not allowed to let you know that they're a racist. You know what I mean? All right, on that note, I feel like I'm just blabbering on now, dragging this out. So I'm going to go. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thanks. This is one of those streams where I really felt like it was cathartic because I got to just put my opinion out there in the void and let it land where it lands. So thank you. Look for a couple more packages. What? Oh, you don't have to do that, but I will. All right, guys. Thank you. Have a good Friday. I don't think I'm going to be back on streaming or anything tonight, but maybe tomorrow before work. So have a great dinner. Thank you, Claire. And I will look for a message from you for Mayhem. I think you said tonight. So I'm planning on it tonight. If not, it's okay, but whatever. All right, goodbye.